The rain was coming down in sheets, a cold, relentless drumming against the pavement that matched the rhythm of my own defeated heart. Another job rejection, another door slammed shut. I was just trying to get back to my tiny apartment, to escape the world for a while, when I saw him, a small, shivering bundle of golden fur, huddled under a flimsy bus stop shelter. His eyes, wide and scared, met mine. Every rational thought told me to keep walking. I could barely feed myself, let alone a dog. But something in his gaze, a desperate plea for help, broke through my own despair. I crouched down, extending a tentative hand. "Hey there, little guy, you're soaked." He flinched, then seemed to sense I meant no harm. Slowly, he crept forward and licked my hand. That was it. I was done for. I scooped him up, tucking him inside my thin jacket. He was surprisingly light, just skin and bones under all that wet fur. "Okay," I whispered. "Let's get you warm." Back in my apartment, I used my last clean towel to dry him off. He devoured the can of tuna I offered, the only thing I had that resembled dog food. I named him Buddy. It just felt right. The next few days were a blur. I spent my mornings job hunting online, my afternoons walking Buddy in the park. He was a quick learner, full of life despite his rough start. He seemed to have a strange attachment to a specific route, always pulling me toward a quieter, more affluent part of town. I figured he was just curious, but one afternoon, his pulling became insistent, almost frantic. He led me down a street I'd never been on, lined with beautiful old houses. He stopped dead in front of one in particular, a charming two-story home with a large oak tree in the front yard. He started barking, a deep, resonant sound I'd never heard from him before. He scratched at the gate, whining and looking back at me as if to say, "Well, open it." It was strange. Maybe this was his old home, or maybe he was abandoned. I felt a pang of sadness for him. "Sorry, Buddy," I said gently, tugging his leash. "We can't go in there." But he refused to move. He just sat there, staring at the house, a low whimper escaping his throat. We stayed like that for what felt like an eternity, until the front door creaked open. An elderly woman with kind eyes and silver hair pulled back in a bun stepped onto the porch. She squinted, then her eyes widened in disbelief. "Buster," she called out, her voice trembling. "Buster, is that you, Buddy or Buster?" I guess went wild. He barked and wagged his tail so hard his whole body wiggled. The woman hurried down the path and fumbled with the gate latch. The moment it was open, Buster launched himself into her arms. She hugged him tight, tears streaming down her face. "Oh, my boy, I thought I'd lost you forever." I stood there awkwardly, leash still in hand, feeling like an intruder on a deeply personal reunion. The woman finally looked up at me, her face a mixture of joy and confusion. "I don't know how to thank you," she said, wiping her eyes. "He slipped his collar during the storm 2 weeks ago. I've been searching everywhere. I'm Eleanor." I introduced myself and explained how I'd found him. She insisted I come inside for a cup of tea. Her house was warm and filled with the scent of cinnamon and old books. Photos of Buster were everywhere. As she made tea, Eleanor told me about her husband, who had passed away a year ago. Buster had been his dog, his constant companion. Losing him had felt like losing a final piece of her husband. Her story resonated with me. I told her a little about my own struggles, about feeling lost after being laid off from my graphic design job. She listened patiently, nodding thoughtfully. "You know," she said, setting a steaming mug in front of me, "my late husband, he ran his own small marketing firm. He always said the most important thing in business was a good heart and a keen eye. You have both." She then told me that since her husband's passing, the small firm had been struggling. His partner was trying to keep it afloat, but they desperately needed a fresh perspective, someone with digital design skills. She looked at me, a hopeful glint in her eyes. "I know this is forward," she said, "but would you be willing to meet with him?" I have a feeling ... a feeling you're exactly what they need. My jaw nearly hit the floor. It felt too good to be true, like a scene from a movie. But looking at her sincere face, and at Buster, who had trotted over to rest his head on my knee, I knew it was real. The next day, I met with her husband's business partner. I showed him my portfolio. We talked 4 hours, and it just clicked. By the end of the week, I had a job offer. Not just any job, but a position that allowed me to be creative, to build something meaningful. My life had completely turned around in the span of a week, all because of a rainy night and the shivering dog. I still see Buster, of course. Eleanor and I have become close friends. I visit them often, sometimes for dinner, sometimes just to sit in the garden and watch Buster chase squirrels. Sometimes, when I'm walking home from a job I truly love, I think about that night in the rain. I was at my lowest point, feeling invisible and alone. I thought I was saving a dog, giving him a temporary safe haven, but the truth is, he was saving me. He didn't just lead me to his old house, he led me back to myself. He led me to a new family, a new career, and a new sense of hope. It's funny how life works. You reach out to help someone, and in the end, you're the one who gets rescued. Thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed this story, please give it a like and subscribe for more content. See you next time.